finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
Welcome back, everybody, to another BS Free MD Weekly Truth Bomb, where we try to drop shrapnel of information, mostly insightful thoughts and ramblings from our brains.
Shrapful Nation.
What?
Shrapful Nation? I'm trying to take shrapnel and information and make it into a word.
I said a shrapnel of information.
I know. So it'd be a shrapnelation. Yes, it would be amazing. But I cannot come up with that neologism, which would be, that's the word for a new word. So instead, we're going to talk about lowering the bar. Yes. This one hit me running this morning as the sun was rising. And
what, because you need the bar low because you're short?
Of course. But this idea that if you want to change anything in your life, it's like, I got to raise the bar. I got to, go for the gold. No, you don't. Because you're going to start in the basement, because everyone starts in the basement. So how about instead of starting in the basement and assuming that you're going to jump to the top of the house, you make your goal to climb 2 stairs, because you have to build wins that you can achieve, or you'll get used to losing. You need to train yourself to win, which means you need to set yourself up for success and start doing daily, small, little wins that you know that you can win so that you get used to winning. Otherwise, you're training yourself to lose because you're training yourself to fail because you set yourself up for failure. And that's so critically important. When, the hardest part for me in medicine was not graduating from medical school. It was getting into medical school. So it was little tiny incremental changes. What can I do today? What am I going to learn to do today that I can do every day for the next year in studying, in, whatever it takes, running marathons, all these different activities. They're all small, incremental, repetitive, consistent changes.
Yeah, so I guess I could blather on and on and on about that. I have lots of thoughts since I've been working on this quite a bit recently with my training that I'm doing in this program. And there's all kinds of takeaways on this, but one would be you have to get, first of all, clarity on what you're trying to do and why it matters to you, first of all. But then to your point, what you're training or what you're trying to do, or maybe it's not even training. Maybe it's you need to organize your closet and you've been staring at that thing forever. As I look across the room at this closet that's
right,
messy with the door shut. But whatever your goal, project, end game is, instead of being overwhelmed, it is all about the small, consistent steps. And I would say that anybody that becomes successful in anything doesn't get there by just blowing it out of the water. And I think we talked about this before, whether it's all the work that goes up to being a champion athlete. It's all in the daily, more mundane type of stuff. And that's where the real wins come in. But if you overdo it, you lose momentum, you lose emotional energy, and therefore to be consistent, it really actually is those 15 to 30 minute increments that really make a difference. And so I'm learning that small consistency adds up to big wins. And I think back to, so many things I did as a kid, but never really put it together. For instance, how many years did I practice the piano for 30 minutes over and over and over. Later it became an hour, but that got me, I'm trying to think how many years, almost 10 years of repetitive activity where I was actually very masterful at playing the piano. Any musician puts in time, but it's funny how that small little bits add up. The other thing is, it just doesn't add up singularly, it compounds. So the more you start to build on the energy and momentum of what you're doing, the more you actually level it up. You get more energy, which feeds off of your little successes, and that compounds into more activity, more energy put into it, if that makes sense. It's this analogy that I heard that's beautiful. So if someone were to give you $1 million right now and say, here's $1 million, hand over the check. Your other option, though, would be to take a penny, and that penny would get doubled every day for 30 days. So the natural tendency is to think big and go, yeah, I want the big stuff. I want the million. I could take it now and do all these great things if I was already there. But if you took that penny and let time compound it, because it builds on itself, I looked at the math, and it was actually blew me away. It's actually $5.3 million that you would have in 30 days. That's the power of not just compounding money, but it's that way with our energy and resources as well. And 30 minutes a day just seems like, who's got time for that, right? But someone added it up for me, my good friend, of course, Mel Robbins. And she presented this, that 30 minutes every day for a year gives you 184 extra hours in a year, which is actually 4.6 work weeks of extra time. So whatever, when you're talking about setting the bar, and I'm thinking in terms of manageability, small baby steps make great gains. The other thing is, people think I don't have time for that. But when you find yourself doom scrolling, going through Instagram and Facebook over and over, surfing the web,
8 hours a day,
TikTok, watching YouTube, stupid.
The average for like high school students is 8 hours a day.
8 hours.
They go to school for 5 hours a day, and they scroll on a phone for 8 hours a day.
So when you think about that, if I do the math really quickly here, that would be 4.6, 30 minute. Wow.
No, it's almost 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
Times 52 weeks.
That's just okay.
It's 50 times 52.
I got to do the math. So if 30 minutes a day, and you're talking 8 hours a day.
Yes, that's the average for like young people.
16 times 4.
Just do 50 times 50.
Well, that would give them 73 weeks of their life back every year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Right, but the fact is that look, I'm going to pour oil on your troubled waters or whatever. What else are they doing? Because I wasted all of that time watching TV when I was 13, which I would have just wasted scrolling. So the fact is, the issue isn't just that screens are bad and phones are bad. I get that. And, they rewire your brain.
That's not my point. My point is that people say, I don't have time.
Right. No, you're right. They don't make time.
Too difficult to do.
Right. No, they don't make time.
Because they don't realize the power of what you're saying is setting the bar lower, doing things consistently in small increments. And I'm going to share that I've been trying to do this on this project. I'm 21 days into this thing, and it is not easy to show up for what I'm trying to work on for 15 minutes is the low bar to 30 minutes daily, because stuff happens, life happens. I get sidetracked. My brain goes different directions. I don't commit to the thing that I promised to commit to. And what happens? It gets away from you. But on the other side of things, when you start to put that time in, because we know it, we've done it in our lives, our athletic careers, that small little bits all the time add up to a lifetime.
Yeah, but
of difference.
It's more than that, because if you want to start running and you say, I'm going to walk 10 minutes a day because I know I can do that. So start with something you know you can do that you're not doing. Because if you're doing something you want to do, that you want to achieve, that you're not doing now, you set the bar low. You go, I want to run 2 miles a day. Well, start with walking half a mile a day, right? So then when that happens, you'll find that then you'll actually do more. You'll do the mile, and then you'll run, and then you'll walk. Like,
yeah, that compounding is called
the compounding is amazing.
Time,
but it isn't just
focus.
It isn't just the consistent time, which is the critical element. It's doing something every day and gradually increasing it over time is massive. But once you start doing it, then you'll want to do it more, generally speaking, right? And that's why, if you set yourself up for failure and you go, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour and a half a day, and you go once, you won't go back because it'll suck. And you'll go, well, this is crazy. I can't do this, because legitimately you can't. If you say, I'm going to go to the gym for 10 minutes a day, and it's kind of fun, you talk to somebody, you lift a little bit, and then you go back, and then eventually it becomes what it's supposed to become, which is 35 minutes or an hour or whatever you want to do. But you have to set the bar low enough that you get wins, because people practice losing and then they assume that everything that they try loses. It's because they've trained themselves to lose. You have to train yourself to win. That means you have to give yourself little wins every day, which the win might be, I'm going to get up 10 minutes earlier than I normally do. And the second the alarm goes off, I'm not hitting snooze. I'm getting up. I'm making a cup of coffee. I'm reading. I'm doing whatever it is. Like, that is a total win. It's really hard to do that, especially in the middle of winter when all of North America is dark as hell at 6 a.m. So
and I would say that if you really want to make that change in your life, you have to set the alarm and get up 15 to 30 minutes earlier.
No,
otherwise your day will escape you. And that is almost, I think, the hardest part, because what happens is life, I don't know, who wants to get up that much earlier when you could just hit the snooze button?
I like getting up. I think the snooze button's the stupidest. I think that some retard came up with that. That's the dumbest piece of shit ever invented in humanity. Like, why would you want to hit a button that's going to wake you up in 10 more minutes? Like, it's just 10 minutes of anxiety. Why don't you just get up and drink coffee?
That's a whole other podcast.
No, like, it's completely, I hate that thing. Like, I've never hit a snooze button the only snooze button I've ever hit is entirely by accident, because it's insane. It is literally from the pit of hell. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to fall back asleep, and I'm going to be anxious because I know it's going to alarm again in 10 minutes.
Well, good for you. Can you come down off your pedestal now?
No, like, honestly, like, seriously. Like, it's like, I'm going to add a button to a alarm clock for lazy people.
All right. We all have our prices.
I cannot believe it.
I'm going to call you out on yours.
You can't,
but I'll do that on another
I know.
episode.
I'm just telling you.
Back to the point.
A
lot of people struggle with it. So
I get it.
Just as much as trying to get the shoes on and get out the door.
I get it. So I just want to go back to sleep, but I don't want to miss work. So I'll just hit this other button. Get out of bed. The snooze button is retarded.
Your life is waiting for you. Time is ticking. And
the snooze button is retarded. I'm going to make a t-shirt that says the snooze button is retarded. Because it is.
Nobody will put that word on a t-shirt anymore.
Well, I don't care.
All right.
Yes, they will.
I hope this was somewhat helpful for you. I'm ready to go to bed, so I don't have to hit that snooze button, so I can get up and master my day tomorrow. Until next time, bombs away.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit, uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more, and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS3MD. See you next time.
But we try to keep BS3MD as raw and real as possible. We can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bs3md.com.